patootie, and that was
That's funny.
One of those reaffirming moments that you run into in life, that it's just like I'm on the right course in what I'm doing, because these things don't just align. Like I'm not throwing out destiny, I'm not throwing out fate, but I do believe in some level of manifestation, that if we're putting all this effort, that the universe will return some to you. That if you keep pushing what you want to do and what you love, then you're gonna find things that are gonna say, "Hey, man, yo, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Keep what you're doing. This is for you. This is a little gift." And that was one of those gifts.
Almost serendipity.
And Valentine's Bluffs was one of those gifts. Was I'm getting into stunts, I'm getting into film, and lo and behold, here we go.
I know you're going to keep us posted on the progress of this, right?
I am becoming my own marketing rep between Sanctuary and everything else I'm doing. I'm connected with Phil on Facebook, so you're gonna be seeing me post continuously, as Tom posts, as Roland posts, as Brandon posts, as anyone posts it involving that project. It's going up on all my social media, so for sure.
Before we let you run and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night, I'm gonna almost. He found a way to pry the super glue out of the chair, but that's our secret, kids.
I'm sweaty here, so I'm like stuck in this leather. I'm like,
yeah, that's why I have a fan going just out of camera shot. No, we're not doing video this week, kids. Sorry about that. I'm going to ask you to pull from the repertoire of JS for a minute, and I'm going to ask both of you this question. What is the one thing to this point that you've really wanted to say in a promo but never did? Saw that coming. He just put the belt over his shoulder, kids.
For those of you uncultured swine, unfamiliar with who I am the thespian, J.S. Hawthorne, and as you can see, I hold the spotlight. Now, I would gladly share the spotlight with all of you, most of you, some of you, if you find yourself to be worthy, and if I find myself worthy of you. Though really it depends on my audience. Because when it comes down to it, gentlemen, the audience is your yes and your no, is your curtain and your hook. And if I get my hooks on you, you're going to have a good performance, I guarantee it. Because I am the thespian, and my show must go on.
Upcoming itinerary on the pro wrestling side. What you got coming up?
Oh man, do we have some stuff happening? This season is crazy. So we've had a couple shows. We are in the process of doing First Friday shows, which the Hazleton community puts on a kind of a free Friday thing every month. First Friday of the month. The first Friday this month, I am hosting a drag show. Unlike last year's drag show, this one has professional queens from the area, Trixie Valentine, Alexis Vane, all these fantastic kings and queens are going to be putting on a legitimate drag show. It's free admission, Friday, June 4th, I think around 5 p.m., if I remember correctly. I've shared the poster out a bunch. That's June 4th. That's the first Friday. The reason we're doing those things is because so John Trotsky had gotten a lot of the lights for the Sanctuary from this club that closed down in Wilkes-Barre called Twist. And so the man who DMX programmed those lights has joined the Sanctuary to be our light tech. And we now have new lighting, new setup, and he wants to run an LGBT club night almost every Saturday of the month. And so we're going to be having continuous club nights and more drag shows almost every month and whatnot going through there. On the wrestling aspect, we're doing two. Sorry, we're all pro wrestling and stage performance things.
No worries.
We're doing 2 pro wrestling shows every month on the 2nd and 4th Sunday of the month. The next show, we just had one May 23rd. My brain is kerfuffled, but basically is the next one is actually going to be Marcy Cabrera versus Johnny Moran. The main event is going to be title versus Johnny Moran's career. He left 2 years ago and has now returned and has demanded the title opportunity and has put his career not just at Sanctuary, but in he has his own podcast that he has said he will give up everything and go back to the podcast if he loses to Marcy in this thing. So we're staying tuned for that. But our biggest announcement was June 25th, Sanctuary Stunt Studio. The former X Division champion, Ace Austin, a night dedicated to him. He's coming back. He started in Sanctuary years ago and is coming back for Ace's Wild, and it's gonna be wild. I am super excited for that. I unfortunately will probably have to pull double duty elsewhere for an improv show, so the spotlight won't be there, but I guarantee if Ace is going to be there, whether it's Marcy and whether it's Moran, Ace never held the Sanctuary title, but he's a top contender if he's coming back. So stay tuned for that. June 25th. It's gonna be Ace's Wild.
Phil, got another question before we run?
Where can people follow you on social media?
Okay, you can follow me, John Schultz on Facebook. Feel free. JS Hawthorne on Facebook. I'm Kilt Wizard 72 on Instagram. You can find JS Hawthorne on Instagram. Twitter, I think it's @Thespian Hawthorne. I've got an Etsy shop for the crafts and whatnot and the art that I make on the side. No one's bought much. I guess I'm not that good an artist. I'm trying to think of now. I'm going to pull up my phone and look and see if I have actually more art things like that. TikTok, I think I have things on TikTok. You can find the links. I've got a link tree that's on my Instagram and whatnot. You can hook in through there. Yeah.
And of course, check out Indiegogo.com and look up the page for Valentine Bluffs, a My Bloody Valentine fan film. Be able to find out a lot about the perks that you can get when you donate toward the funding of this fan film. Looking forward to seeing how that all comes together too. John, thank you for coming on board with us. I know we originally talked 30 minutes, but guess what? It has a tendency to run a little bit long around here every once in a while. And yes, that's what they said. It's not just he said and she said and they said. All of the above.
That's the beauty of improv, gentlemen. Thank you absolutely so much for having me.
Hang tight for a second, folks. Pro wrestling star and accomplished thespian John Schultz, J.S. Hawthorne, has just gone beyond ringside. Folks, Beyond Ringside Live returns in just a moment. Absolutely awesome time with John Schultz during the previous segment. Went a little bit Iron Man's title on that one, but you know something? Every once in a while we take the breaks, and every once in a while we don't take the breaks. But we took that break, and we took the one before it, so I'm good with that too. Try making sense out of that comment. Kind of like the synopsis of the movie, right, Phil? Welcome back into Beyond Ringside Live on this Tuesday night. Yes, I'm bringing the off-air stuff on air. Here we go. Fast Eddie Lane over here, the president of wrestling, Phil Stamper over there. And Phil, I understand you got a little memo.
So I want to give the actual synopsis. I was joking a little bit when I was like, yeah, the producer just said it's Valentine Bluffs by Bloody Valentine fan film. That's right. I want to give you the actual synopsis. So after the horrific events that took place in Valentine Bluffs, TJ and Sarah struggle to move on with their lives in a new town. Circumstances force TJ to move back to his hometown where he tries to start a new life. 40 years pass, and the town of Valentine Bluffs has forgotten the names of Axel Palmer and Harry Warden. The next generation is getting ready to celebrate the big Valentine's Day dance. All seems well until an ominous figure wielding a pickaxe appears, leaving a trail of carnage behind.
Once again, that is for Valentine Bluffs. A My Bloody Valentine fan film. Looking forward to this. That's going to be a lot. I love a good horror movie. And here's the trick. I'm very peculiar in my brain. Peculiar. There it goes. Enunciation. Gore for the sake of gore doesn't always trip my trigger. Case point scenario, a lot of the stuff they do in The Walking Dead, I just roll my eyes. But a thought out scene of extinction, kill scene, that is pertinent and relevant, 7 days a week, I'm there. And I actually liked My Bloody Valentine. So once again, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Valentine Bluffs. This should be a lot of fun. And I know
Absolutely.
you don't always put the word a lot of fun in with a horror movie, but that's the way I look at them. A good horror movie is a roller coaster ride from hell. It is, because you've got, depending on how it's executed, depending on the vision and how that vision is executed, you're starting out at that one level. And then you start that ascension, and you don't know if it's going to be for the first big drop-off thrill ride, of the first big drop of the thrill ride, or if it's going to be a segment of a drop. Because you've been on coasters before where it's like you go up, you go all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, and then you've got other coasters where you hit the momentum builder, and then you make that last ascension all the way to the top, and then you hit the power drop. So once again, that's where I get that roller coaster analogy, because it's not always the same for every coaster. It's kind of like when you go to Six Flags, the one over Georgia. Batman's set up one way, Superman the coaster set up another, the Great American Scream Machine, the Blue Hawk, Goliath. I get my parks mixed up my concussion syndrome kicks in. It's kind of like Six Flags Texas, which I'll be heading back to next month. Actually, it'll be late July before I get a chance to go back. But the new Texas Giant, phenomenal coaster, love every second of it. They have Titan over there, which actually got me for a second. And I was digging every second of that one. Once again, different segments of the coaster create different reactions, just like a good horror movie. Gotcha.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm going to transition because let's talk about some wrestling. But speaking of horror movies, it's interesting because AEW Double or Nothing is happening this weekend.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the best of Nia Jax, which would be about 3 minutes.
Oh, well, almost as bad is, we both know that everybody talks game and not all of it good about professional wrestling. And people in professional wrestling sometimes talk the worst game. Well, it's interesting that, we're heading into Memorial Day weekend and people are talking about AEW and Double or Nothing. They're getting ready for their pay-per-view. Meanwhile, on the other side, people are talking about who WWE fired, who they fired last week, who they fired today. And it's like, let's look at this perspective of two different companies. We heard a lot about that they let go of some in-ring talent, a lot of folks from NXT last week.
Referees.
Today, WWE has fired Adnan Virk, so he was the WWE Raw announcer for a whopping 7 weeks.
Vince, call me.
He said, "Thank you to the WWE for a wonderful opportunity. The weekly travel along with my other job was a grind for me and my family. I'm grateful to everyone with the company, especially why did my brain just totally have a moment? But Byron Saxton and Corey Graves, for being such fantastic teammates. So he is gone. Also, they're first, of course, like it sometimes happens. People, I'm kind of in this situation in my real life. Sometimes when there's a change in a company, like you see the wave coming, and you're like, what's going to happen? So people have been talking apparently in the WWE that as a result of the pandemic, the WWE found out or figured out, you know what? We used to do this so bare-boned with quite fewer staff members. and now we ramped up a whole bunch of things.